Your great-grandmother controlled every garden pest on her property with 12 natural insecticide recipes that cost $4 total. You're standing in your garden. It's the last week of May. The soil is warm under your boots, and the sweat is already beading on the back of your neck before 9 in the morning. You bend down to look at a row of cabbage seedlings you set in the ground 2 weeks ago. Half of them are gone, not pulled, not wilted, eaten, skeletonized down to the stems by something you never saw. You walk to the tomato plants and the leaves are curled, the underside crawling with aphids so thick they look like dust. You think about the bottle of Roundup in the garage. You think about the $42 you spent on it last spring. You think about the warning label and the way your hands smelled for a week after you used it. You stand there in your own garden and you feel beat. You feel like the bugs are winning, and the only way to fight back costs you money and costs you your health. And not one drop of chemistry your great-grandmother would have recognized. You're about to learn how your great-grandmother kept a 1-acre kitchen garden alive for 40 straight summers using nothing she didn't already have in her pantry, her woodshed, or her henhouse. She did it for less than $4 a season. She did it before Monsanto existed. She did it before Bayer acquired Monsanto and inherited every lawsuit that came with it. She did it before the United States Department of Agriculture decided in 1947 that the only insecticides worth registering were the ones a chemical company could patent. She did it with 12 recipes that were printed in a federal bulletin in 1898, distributed free to every county extension office in the country, and then quietly pulled from circulation after 1970, according to agricultural historians who've tracked the disappearance of practical low-input farming literature from the public record. By the end of this video, you'll know all 12. You'll know what they kill, how to mix them, and how to apply them, and you'll know the exact reason you've never heard of any of them. Let me tell you about Sissy Combs. Sissy is 77 years old. She lives outside Williamson in Mingo County, West Virginia, on the same 40 acres her grandfather bought from the coal company in 1926. She runs a half-acre market garden that feeds her 2 daughters, and roughly 30 families in the holler who pay her in cash, eggs, or labor. She has never used a synthetic pesticide, not one. Her grandmother taught her how to keep a garden the way her great-grandmother kept one, and her great-grandmother learned it from a federal bulletin a county agent handed her in 1902 when she was 8 years old. Sissy still has the bulletin. It is folded into the back of a King James Bible that sits on her kitchen table. She told me once, and I'm quoting her, she said, "The bugs were here before the chemicals, and they'll be here after, and the only thing the chemicals did was give us cancer and give the bugs a reason to come back stronger." Sissy is in her garden right now, as you're watching this video, picking potato beetles off the leaves by hand and dropping them into a coffee can of soapy water. She is 77. Her tomato yield last year was 480 pounds off 12 plants. When the United States Department of Agriculture was established by Congressional Act on May 15, 1862, its first mandate was practical. Send bulletins to American farmers. Teach them what works. The Farmers Bulletin series began in 1889, and by the turn of the century, the agency had printed more than 200 titles on every subject a family garden could need. Bulletin number 127, published in 1898 under the title Important Insecticides, ran to 32 pages. It listed 41 different recipes for controlling garden pests. Not one of them required a chemical company. Not one of them required a patent. Every single recipe used materials a farm family already owned. Wood ash from the stove, soap from the rendering pot, lime from the quarry road, tobacco from the field, the dried leaves of which contain pyrethrin-adjacent botanical compounds that kill soft-bodied insects on contact, the same class of botanical insecticides that integrated pest management researchers still validate today. Vinegar from the cider barrel. The bulletin was reprinted 7 times between 1902 and 1941. Then it stopped. By 1962, when Rachel Carson published Silent Spring and the American public first heard the word DDT in a sentence that wasn't an advertisement, the bulletin had not been reprinted in 21 years. By 1970, when the Environmental Protection Agency was created and chemical pesticides became the only legal product a farmer could buy, Bulletin 127 had been quietly removed from the recommended reading list of every state extension office in the country. Monsanto had purchased its first agricultural chemical company in 1961. By 1976, Roundup was on the market and the American garden had been re-engineered around a single molecule. That company is now owned by Bayer AG, which has spent over $18 billion settling glyphosate cancer claims since 2018. Here is exactly what your great-grandmother knew. Insects are not invincible. They are soft-bodied creatures with breathing holes in their sides and exoskeletons that dissolve in alkaline solutions. A cabbage moth caterpillar drowns in 2% soapy water in under 30 seconds. An aphid colony dies when you spray it with a mixture of garlic and chili water because the capsaicin disrupts their nervous system the same way it disrupts yours. A slug dragged across a line of wood ash dehydrates and dies inside an hour because the ash strips the mucus coating off its foot. None of this requires a chemistry degree. None of it requires $42 a bottle. What it does require is what agricultural scientists now call integrated pest management. The understanding that pests are managed most effectively through mechanical, biological, and botanical controls applied in sequence, not by reaching for a single chemical solution. Bulletin 127 simply wrote down what every farm woman in the Appalachian Range had been doing for 200 years, and the Department of Agriculture filed it under the assumption that the next generation would keep doing it. The next generation didn't. The next generation watched television and bought what the television sold them. The bulletin was published, and then it was never reprinted. You're probably thinking that you don't have a wood stove, you don't have a soap pot, and you don't have a tobacco field. You might be right, but you might be wrong. Here are the 12 recipes from Bulletin 127. Every one of them adapted to materials you can buy at any grocery store for under $4 total. First, wood ash sprinkled in a 1-inch ring around the base of every cabbage, broccoli, and Brussels sprout plant. It kills slugs on contact and repels cabbage moths because the alkaline dust irritates their feet when they land to lay eggs. A bag of hardwood ash from a barbecue supply store costs $3 and treats 100 plants. Second, 2 tablespoons of dish soap in 1 quart of water, sprayed directly on aphid colonies at sunrise. The soap dissolves the waxy coating on their bodies and they suffocate inside 2 minutes. Third, 1 cup of diatomaceous earth dusted lightly across the soil surface around bean plants and squash. The microscopic silica edges cut the soft bodies of caterpillars and beetle larvae. A 4-pound bag is $6 and lasts 3 seasons. It is listed as an approved input by the Organic Materials Review Institute for Certified Organic Production. Fourth, 6 cloves of garlic and 2 whole-dried chili peppers blended into 1 quart of water, strained and sprayed on tomatoes and peppers every 5 days. This single recipe controls aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites simultaneously. If you can source neem oil, cold-pressed from the seeds of the neem tree, available at any garden center for about $8, add 1 teaspoon per quart to this same spray for broad-spectrum coverage that also disrupts insect hormone cycles. Fifth, the leaves from 1 rhubarb plant boiled in 2 quarts of water for 20 minutes, cooled and sprayed on roses, beans, and cucumber. The oxalic acid kills mites and prevents fungal leaf spot. Sixth, 1 teaspoon of mineral oil added to your soap spray for hard-shelled scale insects on fruit trees. The oil smothers them within an hour. Seventh, plant 1 tansy or 1 nasturtium at each end of every garden row. The smell repels ants, aphids, and cucumber beetles for a radius of 6 feet. Eighth, intercrop marigolds between your tomato rows. and use them as a rotation crop, tilling them under at season's end. The roots release alpha-terthionile, a compound that kills root knot nematodes in the soil. The nematode suppression works best as a rotation strategy rather than a same-season companion plant. But either way, the marigolds are earning their space. Ninth, plant 3 castor bean seeds at each corner of your garden. The plant repels moles and voles for a distance of 40 feet. 10th, mix 1 cup of vinegar and 1 tablespoon of salt in 1 gallon of water for spot weed control along garden borders. Use a brush, not a sprayer, so you don't kill nearby vegetables. 11th, sink an empty tuna can flush with the soil, fill it half full with cheap beer, and trap slugs by the dozen overnight. 12th, build a low chicken wire fence around your bean and corn plot and let 2 laying hens patrol it during daylight hours. The hens eat 95% of cutworms, grubs, and Japanese beetles before they reach maturity. Sissy Combs has used every one of these 12 recipes for 55 years on the same half-acre. Her yield last year was the highest on record in her 3-county area. If your cabbage leaves are intact after 3 weeks, if your aphid count drops by 90% inside 5 days, if your tomatoes ripen without leaf curl, you have a working garden, and you spent less than $4 to get it. Now here's what nobody is telling you. The average American home gardener spends $112 a year on synthetic pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides. Over a 30-year gardening life, that is $3,360. Over the lifetime of an average backyard plot, 50 years, it is $5,600. Sissy Combs has spent $0 on synthetic chemicals her entire adult life. She is 77 years old and she has no cancer, no Parkinson's, no chronic neurological symptoms. Her hands are steady enough to thread a needle. The American Cancer Society has linked glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, to non-Hodgkin lymphoma in multiple jury verdicts since 2018. Bayer AG, which acquired Monsanto in 2018, has paid out over $18 billion in total glyphosate settlements since that year. The product is still on the shelf. The product is still recommended by your county extension office. Your great-grandmother grew the food that fed your grandfather, and she did it with wood, ash, and soap, and she lived to be 91. The reason your parents don't know about this is not because the recipes stopped working. The recipes work as well today as they did in 1898. The reason your parents don't know is that Bulletin 127 stopped being printed. The bugs were here before the chemicals. The bugs will be here after. The garden doesn't send you a bill. The wood ash is still in the firebox. The soap is still in the cupboard. The recipes were never lost. They were only buried. If this saved you 1 bottle of Roundup, you owe the next person who finds this channel the same favor. Hit subscribe. The next video walks you through the 1891 Clarence Kemp solar water heater.